Hey guys, this is AJ from Taco Garage. In this video, we're going to show you how to install your DMM 2.0. The DMM has just recently attained 2.0 status. That is because I've gone through so many little changes from the initial version that I feel that now the DMM is sufficiently different to where it deserves the 2.0 status. So we're going to show you how to do it. The first thing we have to do is remove this dashboard trim. That's this piece right here, and this is what your DMM is going to mount to. The easiest way to do that is just put your fingers back here. If you put your thumb here, you can get some leverage and then just pull straight out. Takes a little bit of force, but it'll come out, and then the rest of it just falls out real easy. It's all just clips. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 9 clips, as you can see. And then we take this out and do the installation somewhere else. Once you have the trim off of your Taco, we're going to go ahead and use a flathead screwdriver. And the tool list for this installation is going to be on your screen, but for now, just a flathead screwdriver to remove these vents. These vents have 3 tabs each. All you do is put your screwdriver in, pry them open, and they come out pretty easily. Oh, see, pretty easy. That's 2 parts. This is not broken. It's actually 2 parts. So, might be able to see the 3 tabs now. So that's them. It's the same thing for the other side. That comes out. Next thing we're going to do is install the plates. Now, this is another reason why the DMM is version 2.0 now. This top plate has gone through several changes. The first one is the countersinks. This used to have countersinks on the anchoring holes. We don't need them anymore. The new screws that I have, these updated screws that I showed you before, are going to sink in the material without the countersink. Before, I used to have the countersinks there so that the head of the anchoring bolt would sit flush. These will sink into the material once they're tight, so you don't need the countersink anymore. The other reason the DMM is version 2.0 now is these cutouts. These are cable pass-through cutouts. So all you got to do is cut them from the plastic, and you can run a cable through the back of your dash and into your devices that you're mounting on your DMM. So get your top plate, line it up as best as you can with the plastic on top. Push it as far to the driver's side as you can without it going beyond the plastic. So you want to keep this line right here flush with the plastic as far right as you can. Once you have it there, just clamp it. I'm going to use these binder clips, and all you do is place one at the end, one in the middle, and one at the other end. Now that we have the top plate clamped in place, we're going to go ahead and drill it, and we're going to be using a number 10 drill bit. There's other sizes that will work, but if you have a number 10, use that. So first 2 that we're going to be drilling is the far ends, and that's because it helps you stay lined up. Once you have the hole made, I suggest you just drop in a screw. It helps you keep things lined up in case the clamps are not holding on tight enough. So then we drill the other end. And you're drilling through plastic, so this is going to be pretty easy. Now that you have both ends, just drop in a screw, hold them tight. You can move the clamps over to drill whatever holes you need. You don't have to drill all the holes. If you know you're only going to be using 2 of the mounting points or 3 of the mounting points, just drill those. But I would suggest you just drill them all. That way, if you later have to change your location for whatever accessories you're mounting, you can do that and you don't have to drill anymore. So we're gonna go ahead and drill everything in this case. Now that you've drilled everything, you can remove the clamps and remove the 2 bolts if you used them on the corners. Remove the top plate and clean up the holes. Your top plate should be fine. The bottom of the holes might need a little bit of cleanup. So if you do need to do that, you can just use any kind of blade and just cut the excess. In this case, we don't have a lot. This one has a little bit, so you want to remove that because your bottom plate is going to sit on top of that, and if it doesn't sit flush, you might have trouble screwing things into them later. So just clean them up as best as you can. You don't have to be super particular about it. Clean them up. Take all the burrs out. Once you have all the holes drilled up, you can go ahead and install the bottom plates. So I like to start by the ends. So that's what I'm going to do. And this is where the alignment screws come in play. So before you tighten up anything, you want to line up the bottom plate and the top plate, and use the alignment screws to keep the holes lined up. The important hole in this case is the one in the center. This is where you're going to be mounting things later, so you want to make sure those are lined up, and that's why you install that screw before tightening anything down. So after you have that in place, you put your 2 anchor screws on the 2 sides of the bottom plate, and then you put 2 lock nuts, or lock washers, sorry, and then 2 nuts on top of the lock washers. Now I'm just going to run them down by hand. I'm not going to tighten them up just yet. And we're going to do the other end now. I do it like this because I feel that it helps keep everything lined up if you do it this way. We're going to go ahead and use a 5/32 Allen wrench to run that down. It's a little tight because that means the holes moved a little bit when I installed it. The clamps might have moved, my drill was a little shaky, I don't know if you saw that, but it's fine, it's fine. As long as you can run it down, and as you can see, as long as you can run it down, it'll be fine. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. Place that anchor screw, place that other anchor screw on the other end, two lock washers. So there's going to be a couple spots where you're going to have to cut this tab right here. So as you can see, it's really close to the stud or this anchor bolt. So we're going to cut that tab a little bit just to give it enough room for the nut and the socket to go in. So as you can see, I put a notch on this tab right here, just enough so that I can get the nut and the socket in there. Now once you start running these down, you're going to see that the head sinks in. So this one has already been tightened up and the head is already sunken in. So you can see why we don't need the countersinks anymore. You can see that the head of the anchor screw sinks into the material. That's how you know it's tight enough. So I'm going to go ahead and do that to the rest of them so you can see. And I'm not holding the head of the screw down. All you got to do is tighten up the nut. And as you can see, the head is now flush with the top plate. That's what you're looking for. Now that we have all those tight, we're going to go ahead and do the middle plates now. So we just undo the alignment screws. And now we know for sure that these are going to line up your mounting points. But we want to do that same thing on the middle plates now. These middle plates also have that notch cut into them, and it will line up perfectly with the top plate. You can see that the plates have these round edges to them, and they should all be facing the same direction. All the round edges are going to be in this top left corner in this view. So for the middle plates, again, we're going to be using the alignment screws, to keep everything lined up. So run those down. And these don't have to be run all the way down. As long as they catch the threads on the bottom plates, you should be okay. So I'm just going to run them down. And I can see that they are catching. So we're going to do the anchor bolts now, the anchor screws. And this one has the same problem as the other one. We're going to go ahead and cut that tab as well. So now that I have that notch, I'm going to go ahead and install the bottom plate. Line it up with the 2 alignment screws. You don't have to run them all the way down, but you want to have them run down enough so that you can see that they are catching the bottom plate, and you can see that right there. Anchor screws go on the side. Lock washers. And nuts. Again, you don't need to hold the heads of those anchor screws. All you got to do is run down the nuts. And on this one right here, looks like we've got enough room. We don't need to cut any of the tabs. So again, that concludes the installation of the DMM. Everything should be tight now. Everything should line up too. It's a good idea to check that the holes line up before you put it back in your truck. That way, if something is wrong, you can fix it. So now that everything is tightened down, you can see that the heads of the screws are gone. That's why we don't need the countersinks anymore. That's how everything should look. All you gotta do now is put it back in your truck and see the finished product. There you go, finished product. Your DMM is installed. This is what the DMM looks like after it's installed. Yeah, you can't see that, huh? That's the whole point. You got a clean looking truck and a lot of flexibility for when you want to install accessories. That's the DMM right there. What you're not going to get is this. You're not going to have anything sticking out if you don't want it. When you take your accessories off, yeah, you might have the ball mount there, but you can take that off if you want. And you don't get any of this sticky stuff either. No residue. You can see it a little bit. There's not a lot. This is actually a pretty good pad, but it's completely invisible.